chapter 15, David's second attempt in bringing the Ark of the Covenant, this time with God's proper instructions. I'm actually going to read verse 13. It was because you, the Levites, did not bring it up the first time that the Lord our God broke out in anger against us. We did not inquire of him about how to do it in the prescribed way. Now, verse 27 of chapter 15, David was clothed in a robe of fine linen, as were all the Levites who were carrying the ark, and as were the musicians, and Kenaniah, who was in charge of the singing of the choirs. David also wore a linen ephod. We went over this in 2 Samuel, the significance of David wearing a linen ephod. An ephod is typically worn by priests. David is a king wearing a robe of a priest, so he's a priest king. It's a kind of messianic figure, if you will. What's interesting about this ephod, if you go to Exodus chapter 39, verse 1, it reads, "From the blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, they made woven garments for ministering in the sanctuary." What's interesting is blue, the color of the sky, represents the heavens or God. So it's no coincidence that blue is the first color. Scarlet or red is the color of the ground, representing the earth in which man was formed. In Hebrew, we went over this, Adam means man. Adamah, man, formed from the dust of the earth. In fact, the Hebrew adjective for Adam means red, the red one. So it's no coincidence that scarlet is listed. Now, what happens when you mix blue with scarlet? You get purple. Purple is the joining of blue and red, the joining of God to man, heaven. The blue joining the Adamah, the earth. The scarlet. Now I'm going to be reading in John chapter 19 verses 1 through 3, the crucifixion of Jesus. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they slapped him in the face. Roman soldiers would take a leather whip, and at the end of the whip would tie a piece of bone to it, so that every time that they whipped, the bone would cut into the skin. That's being flogged. Then they twisted a crown of thorns and put it on Jesus's head. They beat him, and some accounts say they also spit on him, and they mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews!" clothing him in a purple robe. Of course, purple is a color of royalty. What they didn't realize is that in that moment was the total joining of all that is holy, the heavenly one joining all that is unholy. Man, God incarnate, came down from the blue heavens to the earth to die on a cross for all human sin, for man, for the Adamah. In the book of Matthew, it says that the robe was scarlet, and I wouldn't call it contradictory, but I would rather say it's complementary, because Jesus is fully God wearing the sin of man, scarlet. So what we read in First Chronicles 15, that David brought the first covenant into Jerusalem wearing an ephod. But what's the bigger message is Jesus Christ brought us a new covenant on the cross in Jerusalem, wearing the sin of man. And that is the significance of the linen ephod.